Okay, welcome to Vibrant Life and Inspired Business. This is Laura Vann. I hope I'm pointing to the right direction. Yes? Okay, the beautiful Laura Vann, and I'm Bralynn Newby. And we help you to blend your health and your business so that you can not spend your health to get wealth and then have to spend your wealth to get your health back later. So you can live a vibrant life and be balanced and create an inspiring business. And our topic today, overcoming fear and finding the courage to take risks. This is a huge one, and it's big for me, and I think it's big for Laura as well, because we've both had a lot of challenges where we needed to just take a hard look at what the heck we're doing and what's holding us back, and usually it all comes from a fear of one sort or another.
Comes from what?
A fear of some sort, typically, fear of failure, fear of making a fool of yourself, fear of rejection is a big one, just doubting yourself, and sometimes it just takes a huge leap of faith to just step out in courage and take the risks that you need to take, both in taking care of yourself and also in your business. There's a lot of things I know, taking care of myself, simply getting into the gym and not being the little size 6 in the spandex that you see in the gym.
I'm not seeing a whole lot of those right now.
Well, that was a risk for me. I would rather sit home and eat ice cream than go to the gym. That was really finding a lot of courage and getting myself out there and asking for help, saying, Laura, would you please work out my menu? And then I'm always fearful, it's going to taste terrible. I'm not going to have any I'm going to be starving all the time. I'm going to be, won't get to eat all the things that I want to eat. There's just so many things that we need to risk or get over the fear of in order to have what we truly, truly want, which is vibrant health. And for our business, of course, goodness, there's probably the biggest one is making the sales call, talking about money conversations and getting over the fear of knowing your value and knowing what you bring to the table is valuable. And you do have the right to ask for money in exchange for it. And that fear is probably the biggest one. But gosh, there's probably 100 in business that we have to get over. The fear of doing it wrong is me, because I'm overcoming a lot of perfectionism. And so when I create a marketing plan, I want it to be absolutely perfect. And I want to know that the very first time it's going to absolutely work and give me exponential results, and everything I do is going to turn to gold. And
isn't it?
I have these dreams that everything I do will absolutely be a huge success. And, that's not realistic. And also that doesn't help me grow or help me challenge at all. If everything I do is a success, that means I'm not stretching myself. I'm not growing. I'm not learning new things. I'm not trying new things in my business. So I think that I will have to get over that fear. I do have to get over that fear. And I challenge myself quite often to a marketing plan, and executing it is better than no marketing plan or a marketing plan that you have that you never execute. So it's more about just doing it afraid, doing it anyway.
Yeah,
So,
I just posted, it's not the absence of fear, but doing it in spite of fear.
Yeah.
That's a hard one, especially when it comes to sales calls.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, we just don't want to mess it up. We think that it's a rejection of us personally when someone says no to whatever we're offering. And, we take it personally when really it's just business, and they're just saying no to an opportunity that, they could say yes to later. That just might not be the right timing, or that doesn't fit their needs, or they don't haven't seen the value, or, there's lots of different reasons why they would say no, and it's not a personal rejection of us.
Right.
So
That's the hard part, is not taking it personally.
it's very hard. It's very hard because especially when we're entrepreneurs and it's our business and it's our service, our coaching or our products or something that's really comes from our heart and somebody says no, it's like, oh no.
Right. Well, and we know no doesn't always mean no. It just means I need more information.
Yeah. Oh, good point.
Communicating
Right.
it properly, or and it's timing. Could very well be timing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Hi,
I,
Ralph. Nice to see you join us. So, an inspirational speaker, realtor, designer of an outstanding life, husband, father, grandpa, and aspiring author. Wow, Ralph. Is there anything you don't do?
Definitely taking a few risks, that's for sure.
Sure. Do you want to come on and talk about risks? Let's bring you on for a minute here.
There he goes. And you've got purple on today. Nope, you don't. That's just your profile picture.
Yeah. Hi, Ralph. Welcome to Vibrant Life Inspired Business.
Hello.
Nice to see you. Good.
Pleasure's all mine.
Oh, good.
The fear of and finding courage to take risks. Interesting topic.
Yeah, it's a pretty deep one just for a light blab, because it's what holds us back in life. But since you are the inspiring life guy, why don't you tell us some of the risks that you've had to take or some of the fear that you've overcome?
Well, I challenge the motivational speaking I do. It started a number of years ago. I experienced a near fatal car crash, and
Oh, wow.
and while I was in the ICU room with breathing tubes and feeding tubes, I decided to throw this big party. Me, myself, and I had a pity party.
A pity party. I'm
Why me? Why, wow. And I asked myself a simple question: what have I got to be grateful for now? And shortly after I moved, and I could feel all my broken ribs, and it's like, well, I'm alive. And then I thought, well, my wife and my kids and friends were coming by. I got people around me that love me, the caregivers, and all this wave of gratitude started flowing. So what does that got to do with fear of taking risk? I use that as an example of I was afraid. I was scared when I first, but I changed my question. I changed my thought process. I changed the story I was telling myself.
Yeah.
And I not only recovered, but after a whole laundry list of things that the doctor said I should not have survived the accident, that accident was May 9th, July 29th, I did a 5-mile run. And
Oh my gosh.
How long? I'm sorry. How long after the?
It was the accident was May 9th, July 29th.
Okay.
Is when I did a 5-mile run, and
Wow.
I didn't do it my normal fashion, but I did it and I got it done. And a doctor on a follow-up visit said, "You did what?" And I said, "Well, doc, I guess I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to be able to." And so overcoming your fears and the risks that you take, what would you do? What would you do if you didn't know that you couldn't do it?
Right.
Right.
And that fear, you were talking about the fear of rejection. Fear is spelled FEAR, false evidence appearing real.
Exactly.
And when somebody tells you no, what story are you going to tell yourself? It's telling you no to your product and you believe in your product. That no doesn't need to be a final no. And that no can be a building block to help you, guide you through the process of getting to where you need to go. If people tell you no when you're trying to communicate something to them or share an ideal with them, doesn't mean you're ideal or your product is inferior. It just means that you need to refocus and rechange or change your story to approach it differently.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's really smart what you're saying about what story are you going to tell yourself. I know for me, working with people that are trying to overcome health issues, whether it be specific symptoms or, debilitating issues, whether it be, cancer even, or arthritis, whatever it might be, there's limitations in that are quote unquote expected and normal. So you're saying, what do you believe? Well, we have to believe in possibilities, and we have to believe in the what if it works, what if it's worth it, what if alternative choices make a difference. And then on the other side of the overcoming fear, where you said, what story are you going to believe? Sometimes the past rejections and the past failures, or even just, I know in my own case, it's not even a failure or a rejection, but it's the choice of not doing it, the choice of failing in the default, right? And I can believe in that, or I can believe in that person that I've put myself in their hands and let their beliefs stand for me. And it's a tough place, but it is a choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I often have to stand in the place of holding the vision for my clients, because sometimes they can't see it. They can't see
Right.
the greatness inside of them, and that the amazing depth of information and inspiration that they have inside of them, because it's just so natural to them. And so, yeah, I hold myself just like, I'm going to hold this dream for you until you catch up and believe it yourself, and there's a lot of fear and overcoming, and they just have to trust that I've got it. And then, of course, with my mentors, they're holding my dream to pull me up to that higher level. And I think we need those kind of people in our life who see that greatness and that potential in us in order to encourage us and hold that for us. You're absolutely right.
I speak on, I call it plant seeds carefully, manifest greatness. And I share the fact that I'm a farm boy. I was born and raised on the farm. And at a very young age, I learned very quickly when my dad, when he went out and planted corn, we harvested corn. And when we went out and planted beans, we harvested beans. And
Sure.
we never went out planting beans to harvest corn. Getting back to people who are struggling with some health issues or challenges in life, relationship issues, whatever it might be, what seeds, what thoughts are you planting? What do you believe?
That's good.
Because I love Les Brown. He talks about if a doctor says, you only have a 5% chance, you're 95% chance that you're going to, this is a fatal disease. Mm-hmm. Well, you still have 5%. How many people would go out and play the lottery and play big bucks if they had a 5% chance?
Yeah.
I guess I get pumped up and excited about, the world has us in a tunnel vision of believing, this is what's going to happen to you. And when you buy into that, that's the path you're going to go down. And if you focus on that 95% failure rate to the 5% success rate, when you ask that, like that question I asked, what have I got to be grateful for now? Mm-hmm. Or if you ask yourself a question, 5% of the people beat this. How the heck did they do that? What did they do? What can I do to do that? Is it, is it some type of medicine, or is it something that I'm doing myself? What is it? When you change what you think about, you bring about. When you change that focus, you're going to have a different outcome. If you plant the right seeds, you're going to get the right harvest.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I love the idea of asking yourself the right questions, because we so often focus on the negative. We say, what if I fail? Well, what if you succeed? What difference can I make in the world if I succeed? Those questions are typically secondary to what if I fail? What will people think of me? What if I'm not good enough? So we really have to retrain the questions that we ask ourselves. So yes, those are exactly seeds, because you're you will answer the question. Your subconscious will answer the question. So if you're asking negative questions, then you're gonna, what if I fail? It's like you go down this road, well, nobody will like me, and yada, 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 and I'll die alone, So if you ask yourself the other question, what if I succeed? Well, that lays a foundation for succeeding in something else. That helps other people do what they're called to do. That gives me the momentum to do something else, So it's a much more powerful stance to have the positive questions in your mind and focus on that. So I love that, Ralph. Thank you.
I look back at that life event and many other life events that have been challenging, and some people actually call them horrific. I call them blessings, because that place that I was guided me to a place that I needed to be. And I've said several times that most of the most beautiful sceneries are on detours. And when we're in life and we have this perfect relationship, or we have this perfect career, we have this perfect family, and when something is a challenge and it takes us off of that easy path, off that easy road, and forces us to go down something that we typically would not have gone down unless we were forced, we see some beautiful scenery.
Right.
And that's when we get stretched, definitely.
Yeah, and when you can see those challenges that that come up in life, when you can see them as blessings, and you welcome them and say, hey, I got this cancer, or I got this issue in my relationship, or this career change, in real estate. A few years ago, there were some challenges in real estate. Believe me, some big challenges. But it's helped me to become the person I am today. It's helped me become more compassionate with people. And, I've seen some beautiful things on those detours. And if I didn't experience those experiences, I wouldn't be the person I am today.
Right.
And it's kind of like a diamond that gets polished. It just gets better and better. So welcome, that's a very reverse, thought process. Welcome those challenges. I'm not saying going out and tell your boss where they can go so they'll fire. I'm not saying that. But when issues come up, rather than bury your head and start crying and wailing about how bad you got it, count your blessings and say, what good is going to happen from this? Why is this happening? And where is this going to take me to a better place?
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I know I've been going through some health challenges myself, and I haven't been able to work full time. And so what I ask myself is not just, beating myself up over, I wish I could work, I don't feel good, whatever. I say, what can I do today? What can I get accomplished that'll move me towards my goals? So it's a challenge, but I know that I'm going through it for a reason. There's a reason why I'm being stretched and learning the new way of working, and I'm having to do a lot more resting than my go self, from the past. So.
Yeah. What blessings are you receiving from that? If you're not, because of your health, you're not able to go out there and keep hitting it. Is it forcing you to stop and think of maybe a better way, or something that you would not have taken time out of your busy schedule to have focused and really studied? What blessings? There's blessings that are happening in your life.
Tons of blessing. Yes. Yep. I would not be where I am spiritually or emotionally if I hadn't gone through this physically. So I needed to have those growth and stretching in those areas to be able to handle what's coming in the future. So. Right. Absolutely.
I always say that only some things grow in the desert. And we always want the tropical and the lush and the greenery, but truly there are only some things that grow in the desert, and they're still valuable and beautiful. We just don't like that dry pokely stuff. Prickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway,
Exactly.
so it's those lessons that we're supposed to welcome, that sharpening, that edge.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we do that? What do we do to find courage or bring courage into our life? How do we step up to the cliff, the part that says we're going to take a risk and jump off? What do we do? What are some tips that you guys can give?
Well, I think we've already talked about the biggest thing is your mindset shift to ask yourself the positive questions and to look at what you're grateful for. I love that Ralph gave us. So those are good things because it really does start in our mind. If we can get our mindset correct, then what we do and how our perspective of how we look at things will change. So one of the things that I teach in Planning to Profit about the mindset, the strategy and making the journey, the mindset piece is understanding that the results that we have in our life right now are based on our belief system and our intentions and the actions that we took in the past, right? So the only way that those things are going to change is to change our belief system, which changes the actions that we take for the future. So it's really critical to take a look at what you're thinking about. Think about what you're thinking about. The Bible says to take your thoughts captive. Well, your thoughts should work for you. And whatever just drops in your mind, you don't need to keep it there. It's not just because it shows up there doesn't need to mean it needs to take residence. You can choose to have that thought or let that thought go or replace it with a better, more powerful thought. You can be pitiful or powerful, but you can't be both. So I think that finding the courage starts with the mindset. And then there's a certain physiology that when you change your physiology and change the way that your body is receiving the signals of your environment, you can change your emotional state. If you start doing jumping jacks when you're feeling a little blue, I guarantee you're not going to feel the same kind of blue when you stop. If you start clapping your hands or rah, 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 when you're feeling down, I guarantee it will bring your state up. And so we have to have the emotional intelligence to maintain our state. And sometimes we need a physiological change in order to bring that state up to a higher vibrant vibration, so that we can find that courage and overcome that fear and, be that go-getter that we really are.
I love what you shared there. And you're talking about your physiology. I love listening to Tony Robbins, Les Brown, a lot of these. And actually, I went to a Tony Robbins UPW, Unleash the Power Within, and did the bar walk.
Oh, you did?
Wow.
Totally amazing. And I believe it was Tony Robbins that shared they took manic depressants and took them off their medication, had them stand straight and tall and smile, and they could not be depressed.
Oh.
You're talking about your physiology. It is just phenomenal what you do. And if you watch him on stage, watch Tony Robbins on stage, yes, he's in state, and he teaches you how you can get in that state too. And it's easy because we are human beings of nature, fall back in that slump, shoulders down, heads down. But when we catch ourselves and we stand or sit straight and tall and smile, and there was another, and it was on a TED Talk where this lady put this cape on and walked around pretending, visualizing being super lady, and went into meetings, and every time she did that, she nailed it. She was in such a peak state. So, it just changed that. it changed it dramatically. And one of the things, Tony Robbins talks a lot about rituals. And, I am not a master, but a practitioner. I wake up in the morning before I get out of bed. I ask myself 5 things. What am I grateful for? And think about what things can I be grateful for today? And it doesn't have to be that you're a multimillionaire. It can be, after my accident, a breath of fresh air when I had punctured and collapsed lungs. You don't know how precious air and breathing is until you can't.
Yeah. Wow.
That's right.
I can go to I have the ability to get up and walk. Not everybody has that ability. I mean, you can start thinking going over and over. And when you set your mindset with gratitude, it's really hard to feel depressed or down when you're grateful. And when you feel you have all these blessings in your life, and you're talking about, stepping up to the cliff and taking that next step, that gratitude, that blessings, that feeling of faith that you have within you, that you're going to succeed. That you're there's going to be a great outcome, even if it isn't the outcome that you envision, because sometimes, I've seen somebody put, trust in God a while ago. Yes, sometimes you got to put your faith out there and believe in that you have that guidance to help you through. And if you're grateful, you're going to have more gratitude come into your life. And you were talking earlier about being in that habit. I love a quote by Robert Louis Stevenson. He says, "Judge not each day by the harvest we reap, but rather by the seeds we sow." The harvest we're reaping, who we are, who the 3 of us are today, is a result of the things we thought of, the physiology that we put ourselves in. And that's why we are what we are today. And if we we look in the mirror each morning and we're not really happy with everything that's looking back at us, don't beat yourself up. Start planting those seeds. If it's being a better partner in a relationship, whether it be a better coach or a better, do something different in a career, what are contribution, what are you giving back? Because when you give of yourself, there's a psychological message, I believe, behind giving, is that you have more than enough. There's an abundance.
Yeah.
By giving, you're opening up for more, blessings in your life.
Exactly.
I'm not a preacher. I'm a speaker.
It kind of goes hand in hand sometimes. We know that all too well.
It sure does.
And it has to be deeper than our own experiences sometimes. Our experiences do carry us, but faith is evidence of things unseen. So if I haven't experienced it yet and I want to move forward, I have to grab onto some of those things, whether they be from my deepest spiritual place or whether they be, like Bralynn said, a coach or mentor holding it higher for me. You have to just have that faith, and it's not things that I can tangibly feel yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, another thing is when we put ourselves in that state and we're taking the actions based on the new seeds that we're planting, we have to have an open mind that the harvest may look different than we expect.
Exactly.
Especially, in this year, it just feels like something is different about 2016, and the things that we've planted in the past that we expect a good turnout will still be a good turnout. It just might look different. Yeah. So you have to have that open-mindedness and that expectation of something wonderful and good happening to us, and the sense of awe and wonder at the opportunities that we see, and not just say, oh, that's not what I wanted, that's not what I expected, that's not how I thought it was going to be. You just have to take it as it comes and know that it is the gift that you've been given.
How do you answer Susan's question? How do you teach us to grumpy teenagers?
Oh yeah, let's back up in case we strip the audio out here. Let's read the question.
Well, she was asking about wellness and asking about foods that it was against your question. How did you word it? I don't know how to feed backwards. There's no scrolling anymore. I used to be able to
Oh,
scroll back.
well, I can scroll here. She said, how do you, oh, any tips for better food for physiology? We were
Right.
talking about our presence and things like that. And so then Laura said whole foods, fresh rather than processed, and reduce alcohol and caffeine. And then now she's asking, well, how do you teach this to grumpy teenagers? So now I'll let you take it over there, Laura.
Well, I said it was a tough one because it is. I mean, we can teach anything, right? We can pass along information, but if it isn't something that someone wants to receive, then we cannot want it for anybody more than they want it for themselves. And so I just said tough one, but basically I said I find a few studies about things that motivate them. Sometimes teenagers are motivated by losing weight, so we might learn the facts about that. That's not just my opinion, it's about the facts. Maybe they need more energy. Maybe there was a grandmother or an uncle, aunt, whatever, that had a cancer or a heart disease, so we can show them the link in food. And then that's all you can do. You can't force them to it, especially a teenager. So, but
Do you think it helps when the parent, consumes better food?
absolutely. We're a product of our environment. Absolutely. I think mostly now our kids going to still trade their apples for ding dongs and Twinkies. They are. But I think that if I can touch them more than half the time in my home, Ben and I were watching the Biggest Loser yesterday. I've never really watched the TV show, but there was a husband and wife team that were losing. They had started over 300 pounds and they had lost something like, I don't know, 80 some pounds and 90 pounds. And they had that midway point where you see your family and the children had come to meet with them. And I was shocked at the teenager and her size. I mean, literally, she had to be herself 50 to 80 pounds overweight. And I thought, wow, this is really, like you say, a product of your environment. And absolutely, we see the difference. When I train women how to cook and how to eat, the kids are going to eat that. That's just, otherwise they have to spend their allowance on Cheetos.
Yeah, and another thing I love that you teach is how to shop,
Yeah.
what to look for when you're shopping, because I wouldn't know some of the stuff that is bad for me,
Right.
I knew that low-fat yogurt is not a health food.
That's right. Yogurt is not a health food. That's exactly true.
Yeah.
Rarely is it, I'll say. Yeah. Yes, shopping the perimeters. And I've been noticing the grocery stores are getting sneakier and sneakier, and big food is becoming sneakier for sure. I mean, the amount of sugar in foods that you think I'm not eating sugar because you think pie and cakes and syrup on my pancake is sugar, but we had no idea that ketchup is full of sugar or salad dressings are full. I'm eating more salad, but I'm eating tons of sugar on my salad. So it's sad.
And the products we drink, the experience of the Tony Robbins seminar, he's real big on getting water. We should drink half our body weight in ounces of water, per day. And after I left that UPW event, I have not drank a soda product.
Oh, good for you.
A Coke product. It's just, after sometimes when you see that, and okay, parents are buying, and yes, the children can go out and get their sodas and things, but if you can just start establishing that in the house, and in that environment, kids learn. They may not want to admit it, but they learn from the parents. My daughter, after the accident, the doctors were talking about if I hadn't been in the condition I was in, I would never survive. And I had just ran the Chicago Marathon in 2005.
Wow.
So and this was in October. This was in May of 2006.
Wow.
That inspired my daughter to start running, and we did 2 half marathons together.
Very good.
Oh,
How
wow.
sweet is that? The
Very good.
the
Beautiful.
picture of both of us going across the finish
I
line
bet.
with our hands, and the look on her face was just pure. It was like she was a candle. She was just lit.
Oh,
And
Oh,
and
wow.
my son, he was well over 300 pounds.
Wow.
Inspired him. He lost 140 pounds, and he's
nice.
done 2 half marathons now.
Awesome. I've got one of those
Wow.
myself. Who lost 140 pounds.
Awesome. But here again, when you can inspire, if you tell your kids, don't drink this, don't do that, or if you do it yourself and show by example, to me that's so much more powerful.
Exactly.
And if you say, quit your smoking, quit your drinking, and you've got a bourbon in one hand, a cigarette in another hand,
Yeah.
that just doesn't get it.
Right. I attribute the same thing to reading. My father was an avid reader. He would take me to the library. We would go and spend hours in there. And I, to this day, love the bookstore, love books. I'm thinking that it had to be part of that, You're right. It definitely is. You're a product of your environment, the people you hang around. They say get with the five people you're around are what's going to mold and shape you. So get with people that are so much further than you are.
Yeah. Les Brown talks about if you go out for a walk, you'll either pick up to the pace of the person you're walking with, or they'll, one or the other will pick up or slow down to match the pace.
Right.
So, how do you get your kids, your grumpy teenagers to do this? Maybe start out by doing activities with them, to whether it be, we're talking about running, maybe there's some other activity, that a parent could do to have some valuable one-on-one time. I'm a product of my environment. I told you I was born and raised on a farm. We used to garden. I still garden. It's in my blood. I love it. And my grandkids, my grandsons love to garden with me. What a blessing to pass on, and having that fresh food to eat. Not everybody has the ability to do that. However, there's ways. If you're going to reap a better harvest.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, that's good. So that's all about mindset and finding that courage. For Stephanie and Kristen, who just joined us, and anyone else who's listening to the replay, or maybe how we got to this point of what we're talking about, this was our physiology and brightening ourselves so that our minds can have a better outlook and a more positive, affirming kind of thoughts going in our mind. So that helps us get over those through the fear places, and going ahead and doing it afraid, and finding that courage from inside of us often comes from our physiology. So that's how we got that, because we were talking about the foods that you eat for a better physiology. So
I want to know more about, how do you take a risk? What is it that you do to stretch yourself beyond what your comfort level is, or what do you do? I mean, even for myself, who can teach it to others, I still have areas that I struggle with in how to expand myself. It's so easy when you're your own boss, that a boss is not pushing you, or even, I'm not on a relay team that's waiting on me and encouraging me. I'm on my own. So where do you dangle the carrots? Where do you make it larger than yourself and have to push out of that? I mean, I know commitment is part of it, but give me some other tips.
Yeah. Well, for me, I have to set my goals, and I have to create the plan, and I have to have this tactical plan. And as I'm creating it, one of the, I teach on purpose goals, PURPOSE, and one of them is, the O is OMG, as in, this goal is so much bigger than me. It's got to be God. And also O is standing for others. So I do know that me getting over myself will help others. And so if my goal has that embedded into it, then I know that it is going to be taking a risk, and it is going to be, bigger than something that I could do myself. I'm going to need to have a team. I'm going to need to have faith and move forward with that. And then I break that down into my tactical plan. Okay, so what do I need to do today to move that So one of the the people that I've learned from is Katerina Rando, and she says take one risk every day. So you could build that into your tactical plan to what is your risk today? Are you risking putting out a video even though it's not exactly polished and perfect? Are you risking making a phone call to a prospective client or a person to book you to speak? What is the risk that you're going to take you today that will move you toward your goal? So I would literally schedule yourself to do something out of your comfort zone. That's what I have to do. I won't do it otherwise. I won't. No one's pushing me, like you said. There's no accountability.
Schedule it, did you say?
Yeah, go ahead and schedule it.
Yeah, and so Kristen is asking, I know you said the O was for, did you mean the POSEO, or did you say on purpose?
Oh, no, I don't have it on the on.
Just, I thought so.
Let me grab my book and I'll do the whole thing real quick.
Yeah, she's really into tactical planning and acronyms, and so it's great. Schedule the risk, yes. Yeah.
So let me get to that page. It's been a minute.
Planning to Profit is her program.
Planning to Profit, and I should have these off the top of my head, but since we weren't even on the subject, I'm just like.
Hey, you know how we are when our greatness bubbles out. Our physical person, our mind doesn't always know what's happening. It's coming out of the spirit. So,
yeah. Okay. So P for purpose is the passion for your purpose. Your passion, what you love and what fires you up points to your purpose. So does this require, will this goal require you to dig into that passion? U is uplifting. Imagine yourself when this goal is accomplished. Does the thought set your heart soaring? And will others be uplifted as well? R is routine. Can I build a routine around this goal? Because if you're not going to incorporate it into your routine, it won't ever happen, right? Right. What is the behavior-based change that needs to happen in order for the fulfillment of this goal to become routine? And the second P is practice. Set up smaller milestone goals so that you can achieve them along the way, because the more that you feel that accomplishment, the more you'll want to go forward. So keep practicing, and the more you're going to believe that it's doable for you. Yeah. The O, like I said, is OMG and others. S is systems. I'm a big systems person. Set your processes in place, and it all ties back to routine, because the systems that you set in place will help you get through your routine. And also, when you have a system in place, you can easily delegate it to someone else. If you have a process of this type of task, you can easily delegate that. So as solopreneurs, we want to have that ready to go, because our team is coming into place. We never know when our team is going to show up, and we can say, look, I can delegate this to you, right? So that's the system for us. And then the E, there are three E's: engage, energy, and emotion. So you want to be fully engaged, and you have your spirit, soul, and body in alignment so that you have your energy flowing. We talked about your physiology. And also keep your emotional intelligence, maintain your state. Because if you can do that, then you'll get through the tactics that it takes to get your goal. Sorry, that was a quickie on-purpose goal session right there.
Well, I have to say, today I was at my church doing a memorial for somebody, and it takes a lot to organize the food and the family and the setup and the whole memorial that happens outside of the food. And so it was interesting because we had processes in place. People were asking each other, what do you do? And what do you do? And there was a lot of hands on deck, but not a lot of people knew what was happening. And somebody pulled a manual out and said, here's what we do. Here's the order of way this. And I was like, wow, that's really great. We can have, anybody can come in and not have to think about what to do. And we have it written out. And as you said, bring somebody on real quick, or get a hand of someone, even shift with other entrepreneurs. Hey, I've got this program I'm rolling out and I need the social media done, and here's how I do that. So that's really helpful. Yes, yeah. It is hard to write it down. And I think, Kristen, it's temperament also. Some of us are verbal and some of us are much more linear and strategic in their writing. So I totally get that.
Yeah, I'm a checklist girl, a template. Yes. If I do a thing more than once, I'm like, probably even just the second time I'm doing this, I can see that I'm gonna have to do this again. I write down what I'm doing so that I never have to think about it again. Yeah. At least for me, and then in the future when I hand it to someone else, then they'll know it. And especially if it's something that I don't do all the time, I don't want to have to relearn it every time. I just don't have the bandwidth for that. I don't have the time for that. So I want to just get it written down the first time. This is what I did. This is what worked and what didn't. It's just easier.
Some of us are flying by the seat of our pants and we have to go on to the next thing and we're taking the time to write it down. So yeah, that's always important. So,
yep. So it's nice to have a
system. Oh, sorry. Ralph, I was just going to ask.
It was nice to have a scribe.
Yeah, for sure. That helps a lot. Ralph, I see that you do habitat builds.
Yeah, that's cool. I was noticing that.
Yes, I'm president of Habitat for Humanity in our local area, and
where are you?
It fits in with being a realtor. Yes,
it does.
There's you were talking about and I love your purpose and your the driven. If you have passion and there's something you want in life that you'll die for it, you're going to be unstoppable.
Yeah. And I like to turn that around and say, yes, there's things you want to die for, but what do you want to live for?
Well, I totally agree. But I mean, you're going to give your heart and soul.
Right.
And one blessing, I talk about the blessings, the economic challenge as a realtor had, everything was just, going down the road. I was flying like I was on the Germany, boom, Autobahn, 80, 100 miles an hour. And all of a sudden, things come to a crash. Things have changed, in my life. But what's important to me is not, how fancy of a car I have or how big of a house or how nice of a meal I have, but what is going back to that contribution, because what I can give, what I can do to affect other people around me to enrich their lives, and then they keep on doing it. It's that ripple effect. So by being involved in Habitat for Humanity, I'm helping people get out of that, break that cycle, and change their lives just by the homes that they live in, the stories that we hear, that some of these partner families, their children, how they improve their grades in school, and how some of these people that have a Habitat home, and these kids were little kids, and now they've grown up and a spouse has passed, and the kids are stepping up to help make sure the house payments are made. What impact can we have on life by just throwing that little pebble in the pond and doing a kind deed and reaching out and giving of oneself? You just receive. And I feel you're talking about spiritual. Since my accident, I feel a lot more spiritual than I do religious. I just see I have that connection with nature, and that's why the plant seeds carefully. I do a lot of stuff and I link it back to nature, and you don't fool nature. You can try this, try that. Nature has been around and it keeps healing itself, and likewise, our bodies are wonderful. We can heal our bodies heal themselves when we take care of it. So taking care of it sometimes means going out and giving to worthwhile organization and causes. And there's many. I love Habitat, but there's many out there.
Yeah, I love Habitat too. I led the build for one of our local builds. So I like the idea though that when you're struggling in an area, go out and help someone else. That definitely helps for depression. And I'm wondering, I'm just trying to link it up in my mind. Helping someone else take risks, will that help you take risks? Helping someone else overcome fear, will that help you overcome fear? I think so.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
We talk about, I said earlier about walking and the power of mastermind groups, being in a committee or with people, like the two of you speaking here, you're speaking my language. And I feel there's something, God, the universe, whatever draws you to those things, and you just got to have faith sometimes that that things are going to happen in their time. You plant a seed, it has to go through the whole cycle in order to be able to harvest it. You can't plant it today, harvest it tomorrow. But
Right.
you've got to keep in mind that one little seed, that one little kernel of corn will produce 8 to 1,200 kernels. What a return on investment by doing kindness. What you plant, that's so you'll reap. By going out and getting involved in whether it be Habitat or any other good organizations, spending that time doing that over spending time doing destructive things.
You're watching TV, doing nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's going to manifest more.
Right. Yeah. Well, you guys, this has been a great hour. I love it. I can't believe our time just went really, really fast. But Ralph, thank you so much for jumping on with us. And Laura, I'm just so glad you're here with me. I appreciate it. Yeah, this was really good. We'll definitely have the replay posted. And for those of you who joined, welcome and thank you for joining us. Hope you can see the replay. You can catch more of Laura at lauravannvibrantliving.com, lauravannvibrantliving.com. And my business is messagemosaic.com. And I will be doing something with Planning to Profit again soon, shortly. We were going to start something and we didn't work out that way, but we're going to be starting again. So I'm hoping to get my online version of Planning to Profit done. So thank you for putting in there, Laura. I appreciate you being a scribe for us. Thank you, Kristen. And
well, check it out, Kristen. Check out your dancing video. I like that a lot. And I'm on Instagram as well as Laura Vann Vibrant Living, and I look forward to checking you out.
Yep. Bye. Okay.
Take care, Ralph.
Hey, life is outstanding. You have an outstanding day. Bye.
You too. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.